It's Wednesday, November 4. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Carol Francis. The National Works Agency has mobilized teams to deal with multiple landslides and damaged roads in the eastern end of the island following heavy rains associated with Hurricane Eta. It was tough going for motorists in St. Thomas on Tuesday as heavy rains associated with Hurricane Eta made a number of roads impassable. The main road from Yallows to Morant Bay was flooded. So too the main road in the community of Pampret, St. Thomas. The main road to Albion was transformed into a river.
Me get trapped, me can't go my yard. Can you imagine? You would have seen this video here right about now and think of a river coast.
Flooding out Albion, right, you know. Nobody cannot cross it. Only a fisherman or a fisherwoman. Those two cars can't swim. So then gone down a Cranspen River.
Yeah, man. It was also tough going for residents who had to wade through mud and huge puddles of water to get to and from their homes. They are appealing for help.
Last night the road was flooded like a river. It mashed up the road. Because I open my window and I look. And I come like a riverbed I live in now. Because the road runs from Spring Garden. The water from Spring Garden comes straight to it. You can't hear the rushing of the water. And I open the door and I look. And I see no taxi now come up here back for now. Because the road really mashed up. If you come up further, you would have seen it. But people shy, but me not shy. Because I feel it, I do business, I'm a big woman, I have helmet, I'm not supposed to lift up everywhere. Everything me I carry, me do other things, and me I feel care for me no taxi now come up here.
Over 200 Jamaicans have lost their lives to the COVID-19 virus. Of that number, the majority has been persons with comorbidities and the elderly. News broke recently of clusters of cases among our most vulnerable locations, namely our infirmaries and Golden Age homes. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton addressed this issue on Tuesday as he spoke from the House of Representatives. Our reporter Marlon Samuels was in Parliament and filed this report.
According to Minister Tufton, a number of residents and staff of several care facilities have tested positive for COVID-19. 16 staff and 20 residents of a facility operated by the Mustard Seed community in St. Catherine were found to be positive.
We now report that all 32 positives have recovered and released from isolation.
Also, there were 87 positive cases, including 65 residents and 22 staff members at the Golden Age home in Kingston. They are reportedly stable and asymptomatic. On November 1, 125 staff and residents at a facility run by the Missionaries of the Poor were tested positive for COVID-19. 74 returned positive results.
The health team has also collected some 358 samples from 7 facilities operated by Missionaries of the Poor, including of its 358 samples, Madam Speaker, at 7 facilities. From the testing of those samples, 88 have been found to be positive, while 220 were negative, and we are awaiting the outcome of another 50. The Ministry, Madam Speaker, colleagues have since engaged the Missionaries of the Poor to put in place a range of measures to slow transmission at the facility, including adhering to the previous recommendations of no one in, no one out, strict adherence to the no visitor policy, having the dedicated staff and equipment for the different clusters at the facility, and ensuring adequate supply of personal protective equipment.
As the country continues to rack up new cases of the virus, health authorities will be keeping a close eye on this vulnerable population. According to Dr. Tufton, the watchword is prevention as we seek to protect our seniors. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Marlon Samuels.
November 30 is D-Day for all owners and operators of residential healthcare facilities to become compliant with all the regulations and protocols related to COVID-19 or face the full force of the law.
The ministry has developed specifically a protocol for environmental considerations for nursing homes and residential facilities, a checklist for nursing homes and healthcare institutions, and a self-assessment tool for public facilities and workplaces. These documents have been made available to owners and operators and residential facilities, and the local health teams have conducted training sessions and will continue so to do. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I am serving notice to all owners and operators of residential healthcare facilities that they must become compliant with all the regulations and protocols related to COVID-19 by November 30th, 2020. Failure to comply to same, Madam Speaker, will see prosecutions under the Public Health Act or the Disaster Risk Management Orders, which may result in fines of up to $1 million Jamaican dollars, or worse, ordering them to close down.
203 nursing homes, 13 infirmaries, 14 children's homes, and 6 rehabilitation institutions have been inspected. Of that number, 99 nursing homes, 7 infirmaries, 4 children's homes, and 2 rehabilitation institutions were compliant with the COVID-19 protocols.
Breaches under the nuanced regulations, 2 private-run nursing homes in Manchester and Clarendon, respectively, have been ordered closed. In the case of prisons and lockups, 43 of the 106 in the country have been inspected so far, with 12 meeting the COVID-19 standard, Madam Speaker, while the other 31 have been given a timeline within which to become compliant.
We now go to the latest COVID-19 updates from the health authorities.
215 persons have now died as a result of the virus. The latest mortality is a 66-year-old man from Trelawney. Over the last 24 hours, the island recorded 30 new positive cases. This brings the total to 9,326, of which 4,288 are active. 38 recoveries were also reported, pushing that tally to 4,704. There are now 11 moderately ill and 6 critically ill patients, with 80 persons in hospital. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
A joint select committee is to be appointed to consider the motion for Portmore to become Jamaica's 15th parish. Local Government and Rural Development Minister Desmond McKenzie tabled that motion in the House of Representatives on Tuesday.
And whereas the economic, social and cultural benefits and potential for generating revenue with Portmore becoming a parish, be it resolved that this Honourable House of Representatives appoint a special select committee to be chaired by the member from St. Catherine South Central to sit jointly with a similar committee to be appointed by the Senate and to consider and report on the proposal to make Portmore City Municipality the 15th parish of Jamaica. And be it further resolved that this motion be referred to the Senate and be...
With a population of over 156,000, Portmore is a large dormitory settlement with one of the largest urban areas in the St. Catherine Parish. Market volatility is turning up in global oil prices. This as a result of the undeclared U.S. elections. Gabrielle Thompson gives us the breakdown for this along with other news in the business report.
In Tuesday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index declined by 1,735 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 79 stocks of which 32 advanced, 32 declined, and 15 traded firm. The junior market index advanced by 41 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for Access Financial Services, Burrito Investments, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica, AMG Packaging and Paper Company, and Cargo Handlers Limited. Trading firm were 1834 Investments Limited, Carreras Limited, and Sebony Group Limited. Lasco Financial Services Limited was the volume leader with 2.9 million units, followed by Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with 1.9 million units, and Lumber Depot Limited with 1.1 million units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Tuesday, November 3, ended trading at $147.25. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $110.37. The pound sterling traded for $191.03, and the euro ended trading at $174.76. Oil prices rose nearly 3% on Wednesday after President Donald Trump falsely claimed victory in a tight U.S. election with millions of votes to be counted and the final result not yet clear. Brent crude futures gained $1.09 to $40.80 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose by $1.03 to $38.69 a barrel. And that's it for this edition of the Business Report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
The outer layer of your teeth consists of enamel, which is said to be the hardest tissue in the body, even tougher than bone. But it can be eroded due to a number of factors, including what we eat or drink. This week on Living Healthy, dental expert H.D. Jazz tells us how to prevent acid erosion of our teeth.
Hi, I'm HD, coming to you today from the beautiful shores of the licensed beach, St. Thomas, Jamaica. We're going to be talking about something peculiar today, erosion. Listen, can you hear it? It's the mesmerizing sound of the Caribbean Sea. The waves come in, they clap the shore, and then they slide away again, preparing to come up again. Very peaceful, isn't it? Maybe not. Because you see, every time the water comes with force to clap the shore, it takes away a little bit. Can you see those rocks over there? They look very jagged. It's because they have been slapped and tossed around by these waves. Can you see these smooth stones? They weren't originally this smooth, but they've been tossed and turned in the waves and smoothed to perfection. Much the same way that our teeth can be eroded with acid. Yes, you would be surprised to know how much we bathe our teeth in acid. Sodas, fruit juices, fruits, coffee, tea, red wine, and the list goes on and on. Ultimately, what happens is that the enamel is worn away, the teeth get shorter and they become more brittle, so they may be sensitive to hot, cold, or even the very same acid that's creating the problem. acid erosion can also age your look, because as your teeth become shorter, as we would say in Jamaica, your mouth looks mashed. You look as if you don't have a full complement of teeth. You're aged. So, what can we do about it? Let me give you a few tips. If you have anything acidic in your mouth, drink water or rinse with water afterwards. It will dilute the acid. Never, ever, ever brush immediately after putting acid in your mouth. So after you've had your orange juice in the morning, that's not the ideal time to brush your teeth. If you brush immediately after putting that acid in your mouth, you're going to wear away that enamel even faster. So wait about an hour before you brush. One tip that you probably would not expect me to give you is to chew gum. But not any gum, sugarless gum. It allows the salivary flow to increase, so it helps to flush out the acid and keep things neutralized in your mouth. Just a few tips to keep you looking young. These waves are gorgeous to look at and soothing to listen to, but they cause coastal erosion, just like acid erodes our teeth. So be mindful of what you put in your mouth and drink lots of water to flush it out and keep things neutral. Listen, catch us the next time on FYI, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.
And we go to news from the region. In the Bahamas, the country's health minister is boasting of what he termed a rapid decline in COVID-19 cases. During a 3-week period, new confirmed cases decreased from triple digits to 31 new cases on Monday. The health minister attributed this to the decisive action of healthcare professionals and adherence to safety protocols by residents. He underscored the point that the drop in new cases is not the result of a decrease in testing for COVID-19. Gillian Gray has more in this report.
The Ministry of Health is happy to advise the public as to the rapid decline in COVID-19 cases in country.
From case numbers in the hundreds to just 24 on Monday, the health minister is heralding the drastic decline in daily COVID-19 infections. He said the spread of the virus is down as seen by the positivity rate in the country. He added this new milestone is because of direct and decisive action by the government.
The Bahamas had a positivity rate of 32% at the height of this pandemic. The positivity rate now is down around 12%. As of today. So it's safe to say that the rate of transmission of COVID-19 in the Bahamas is down. So if I test 200 persons, we'll end up with the 20 persons that we saw on Sunday. And we tested almost 200 persons.
The government has also secured 150 doses of remdesivir to assist with treatment of those infected. The World Health Organization's preferred positivity rate is 5%, which Wells said the Bahamas is moving towards. Though testing has declined, Wells said that does not affect the positivity rate as it's calculated by a percentage. He noted that of the 203 COVID tests completed on Sunday, 161 were negative. The health minister asserted it is a demand for testing that has declined as overall infections improve.
The Ministry of Health demonstrated in its last press conference that the average weekly new cases are declining. With this, based on the current national testing protocol, we expect that the demand for testing would also decrease.
Now, while Wells said the tightening and loosening of restrictions directly correlates to the rate of positivity, he stopped shy of saying whether this lowered rate will result in relaxed measures.
I keep my fingers crossed, but I would say that the work that we've been doing inside the Ministry of Health, the actions of the government and the competent authority has had a dramatic effect on the rate of transmission of COVID in the country.
Wells did, however, praise Bahamians for adhering to lockdown measures and COVID-19 protocols, as he says it has had a direct impact on the numbers.
Obviously, we could see that the fact that we instituted the weekend curfews and we reduced the weekday curfews is having a very positive effect on the rate of transmission.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
Cleanup operations took place in one section of Trinidad and Tobago on Tuesday after floods wreaked havoc in the area 24 hours earlier. Affected residents continue to count their losses. They are demanding compensation and relocation. More in this report from Crystal Wilson.
Residents of Lumsden Trace Gasparillo say flooding in the area is a regular occurrence, and sadly, it's what they anticipate whenever it rains. Following Monday's persistent rainfall, the residents were left with little time to save their belongings. The end result, water-damaged appliances, furniture, and other personal items. One resident who is a self-employed cancer patient shelved her physical pain just for a bit and donned rubber boots and gloves to salvage what she could after most of the murky flood water eventually left her home.
By the time I realized what taking place, it was too late to move anything. I just put everything up high, but even what I put high and up low. So all them things will come down on the ground. I found everything. I put the groceries on top of the counter. When I came back, it was by the back door.
And Evelyn Bartholomew, who resides with Miss Francis, is hopeful they will receive help soon.
Right now, she's in heavy pain. And whosoever will see that picture, I pray God that you all, the government, somebody, send out a hand to help her. She needs a home.
Nearby at Gopal Avenue, TTT News caught up with Kisoon Jaising, who was assisting his son with cleanup efforts. He explained water entered the ground floor apartment through a window. He said they tried to prevent it, but there was little they could do.
Although we tried to block under the sandbag, well, that had no sense. We couldn't have so much a bag. All them heavy pot, and watch out, them pot real heavy and thing. Yeah, all them thing capsized and nothing we could do, nothing we could do.
Residents are blaming the construction of a wall near a river in the area for the recent development. And if the problem persists, they are hopeful of either compensation or relocation.
A piece of land or a house somewhere where I can be comfortable and don't have this headache.
Representatives of the Kuwa Tabaki Talpara Regional Corporation were in the area assisting residents with assessing their losses. Crystal Wilson, TTT News.
Vendors at a craft market in St. Lucia are lobbying for more state-backed assistance. Despite concerns about the impact of the United Kingdom's lockdown on the local tourism economy, some vendors remain apathetic. We have more in this report.
Then the vendors is another situation where they need income support. That's the hard and fast of the whole thing.
President of the St. Lucia Dry Goods and Vendors Association, Peter Ras Iper Isaac, is among the growing list of voices of civil society groups seeking assistance from the government of St. Lucia. The dire fiscal position of the island is of great consequence to the men and women in the second tier of the tourism bracket, who have been eking out a living throughout the ongoing pandemic. While the news of the national lockdown in the UK has jolted some, Isaac claims craft and dry goods vendors have not benefited significantly from the reopened tourism sector.
Now that the government is saying that they have 80% occupancy in terms of the rooms of hotels that are open now, but we are not benefiting from that. There is no spillover for us. The people are allowed to stay at the hotels, and only the hotel owners and so on, and these companies are the one benefiting from this opening or the occupancy rate that the government is gloating over.
Isaac describes the situation as bleak for many craft and dry goods vendors, who he claims have experienced great financial difficulty from the inception of the pandemic.
Financially, we are in a really critical situation and position for us now. And some people, when they got that little money, they had already probably incurred a number of debts and so on. So we were asking for them to continue with the program, because we are saying that, based on what Mr. Peter King said, is that only $7.2 million out of the $24 million that was allocated for this particular program, which is the ISP, has been used.
Isaac's sentiments were echoed by two vendors.
As the COVID-19 virus forces the UK into its second national lockdown, vendors in the Castries market say they remain unaffected. Tourists are still unallowed to visit this facility. However, some vendors have taken it upon themselves to open the booths up to locals to ease the economic burden that they are feeling. These vendors are still calling on officials to lend income support at this time.
Craft vendor Owana Louiso says she understands the restriction on tourist movement. However, she continues to hold out hope for a second installment of an income support program.
So I was hoping we'd have a second round, but we're not hearing anything. I don't think it will, so I don't know. So maybe they will change their mind and give us something again. Please, Mr. Prime Minister, we could do much with it.
Another vendor, Maureen Brown, longs for a restart of some form of economic assistance.
It should start again because the bills to pay, food to buy, and plus you have one or two children who have little chronic illnesses, and you have rent to pay, landlord coming down on your back. Sometimes you don't even know what to tell them, what not to say, because they want to speak, they don't want nobody else to speak. So it's difficult in a way.
For its part, the Ministry of Finance has announced a targeted approach at rolling out income support, which will include strengthening social programs for those in need. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
In sports, we sprint off with athletics. Jamaican sprinter Elaine Thompson-Herah has been nominated by World Athletes for the Female Athlete of the Year award. 9 other female athletes have been shortlisted for the 2020 World Athletes of the Year Awards, which will be held virtually on Saturday, December 5. Despite a truncated season owing to the COVID-19 pandemic, Thompson still ended as the fastest woman over 100 meters in 2020. And in football, Argentine football legend Diego Maradona is to undergo brain surgery for a blood clot. Maradona, who is 60 years old, was taken to hospital on Monday for a series of tests after complaining that he felt ill. A scan revealed the blood clot. The media in Argentina are speculating the clot is the result of a blow to the head. And bowling to cricket, there is good news out of the West Indies camp. All members of the touring party in New Zealand have cleared the first of their 3 COVID-19 tests. The tests were conducted 3 days after their arrival on October 30. We get more in this report from Newsroom Guyana.
According to a release from New Zealand Cricket, the West Indies contingent will undergo 2 more tests on days 6 and 12 of their 2-week quarantine at the New Zealand High Performance Centre at Lincoln University in Christchurch. Having returned negative results in their first test, the players and staff will no longer be required to stay in isolation in their respective rooms. They will be allowed to train, gym and socialize within 3 bubbles comprising of a maximum of 15 members each from days 4 to 7. From days 8 to 14 of their quarantine, the West Indies camp can split into 2 bubbles comprising of a maximum of 20 members each. 7 members of the 35-strong playing contingent will only arrive in New Zealand after conclusion of the IPL, which ends on November 10th in the UAE. These 7 players, of whom 6 are a part of the T20 squad, will end their quarantine on the eve of the first T20 in Auckland, which is set to take place on November 27th. West Indies are the only international team to have embarked on 2 overseas tours since the worldwide pause in global cricket brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. West Indies will play 3 T20s in all, followed by 2 test matches in Hamilton from December 3rd to 7th and Wellington from December 11th to the 15th. For the Newsroom, Akim Green.
And that's our package. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same place for more news and sports right here on PBCJ, the People's Station.